Okay, Abriana, so this one's a little bit tricky. I had some troubles trying to figure out the go back button as well. And I think what's happening is you've got a problem with your camera. So it's hard to, yeah, let me see. Okay, so if we're watching this, I think you have the camera, there's so many frames. Okay, so, and then you've got the camera moving us into this scene. And then we've got a zoom. So this is what's happening is when you zoomed in, it basically made your stage like really zoomed in. So like if I tried to type 10-point font in here, it would be the size of the stage. So you don't really want to zoom in on this, or you want to zoom back out, like when it's black right here, come back out to a regular like 100% instead of 200% or 300%. So because what I did, and these ones at first didn't look like buttons, and it could be happening because well, let me unlock all of these and let's put the actions. Where did it go? Here we go. Let's put the actions at the top so we can see them. So there's a couple of things that could be happening, and I don't think I have your right font, so just make sure that these are cleaned up in the same font and whatever. But this one has a instance name, and then none of these have instance names. So just make sure that each of these has their own instance name, just so that that's not causing any kind of problems. The other thing that could be happening is, and I know you said you did frame number and frame label. So this anxiety names is, if we come down here, we can give this a frame label of anxiety names. And then make sure that's going there. And then make sure it's exactly the same with the A and the N capitalized, whatever you choose to do with that. The other part is that your script for this is on frame 260 or 627. And then over here, when somebody clicks general, it jumps them to 637. So because this doesn't have any frames after it, it won't be applying to that button. So we'll go ahead and click here and just hit F5. So see, now that script is appearing for all of those frames. Okay, so that go back button in theory should work, but here's the problem. When I double click to get in there, see how it looks really crazy, and I'm like, I can't see it, I don't know what's happening with it. So I went Command plus and zoomed in, and I had to zoom to 2000% to see your button, because your button is off because you created it after you used the camera. So in my mind, I only use cameras when it's kind of a skit and I want to zoom in on the character's face and then zoom back out to see the action. I don't necessarily use it to change scenes. So what I would do is each of these things, I would actually make them different scenes. So here's the scenes right here, and you can look up how to use scenes and animate, and it's not that hard. But if we come in here, you can go to the scene panel, and you can see each of your scenes, and then instead of jumping it to a frame label, you can jump it to a new scene. So each of your types of anxiety, like each of the disorders or whatever it's called, yeah, I think it's a disorder, then you can make each of those their own scene and then jump to those scenes from your navigation page. So anyway, so I don't think that this is going to work yet, because what I would do is make a new button. The problem is when you go to make a new button, you'll click here and then you'll add your text, and see it's at 70 points. So I'm going to go to 8, and look how massive 8 is. This is 8-point font, so go back. So that's not going to work for me. Even if I were to come in here and type like 4, it's still not small enough, and 4 is really, really small font. So don't use the camera. It's kind of your finishing piece, your camera, and you want to be able to move in, move out, but always come back to 100%. So I would try that and clean that part up, and then let me know. And then be careful, like see how when I type this text, See how it says input text? Make sure it's static or dynamic, or make sure it's always static unless you have a reason for it to be input or dynamic. So anyway, try that and see if it works, and remake your go back button. Make sure you have your frame label, and get rid of that camera for now, until you know you need it or until you're at the very end.